And we're live.
All right.
Even with Raphie here?
Yeah.
What? Why is Raphie here? I just want to tell you, Rick.
Could we talk about how you guys had a show without me last time?
Yeah, and
I can't believe you went forward with it.
Well, oddly enough, it was probably the best show we've ever had. In fact, I think
not what I heard.
our Nielsen ratings were at an all-time high. Chris and I were able to finish sentences and complete thoughts. It was great. I don't know.
I wanted to lead off today. I've never had so many texts following a show. Like, that was the best show. It was so much fun. I don't think anybody got cut off. I've never had such positive response. And I don't know what the common denominator is for our past shows, but I think somebody wasn't with us.
Yeah.
Who texted you? I'm curious.
Well, let's see.
Uh-oh.
It was your wife was the first one.
Okay.
I have I don't know if I should say their names online. There's some pretty important people. A man named Travis. I'm just reading through some messages, and I won't say exactly what they said, but man, that was the best show. It seemed to have a lot of flow. Fish and the Lone Star sent me a long text. I don't want to read his. Hopefully he calls in today, but
Hopefully.
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Fishing the Lone Star and I have had In-N-Out Whataburger beef from day one, so he doesn't count.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll let the public decide. They can call in and weigh in. I think we'll have that line open. But you know what? I'm glad you're back. You have a beautiful face.
I'm glad I'm back too, and I'm glad that you and Rick are not going to be able to finish a single sentence or thought. That's my mission for this live.
All right. Well, let's give it a go and start
Hey,
the
Fix.
show.
Why don't we give it a go and start the show?
Wow.
Guys, it's me. I'm back. What's up, party people? We're like, Mads, come on. No! All right, this show is taking a turn for the.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Monster Bass Live. We got a great show for you today. I don't know where you are in the country, but it's a little cold where I am, and so I thought it might be a good idea to talk about cold weather fishing. But before we get started, last week we gave away 5 rods, or we said we were going to give away 5 rods, and I think Chris gave 6 away. So I just want to say congratulations to Justin Andrus, Matthew Drago, John Ellis, Chaz Maxwell, Brian Rand, and Adam Lacey. And if I mispronounced your name, I do apologize, but I know that Raphie took care of all you guys, so your rods are either there or they're on the way, and we got plenty of more giveaways for this week. So do me a favor, if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're live every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. Hit that thumbs up. It'll help keep me out of therapy and boost my ego. And we got plenty of giveaways this week. We're going to give away 3 things. We're going to give away a big box of baits to a golden ticket winner. So if you've got a golden ticket, and you know you do because it comes in your Monster Bass box, just write down, hit the thumbs up, put your golden ticket number in the chat, and Fixie will take care of you at the end of the show. We got another big box of baits that Chris will pick somebody that calls in or whoever he wants to give it away to. And we're giving away a reel as well today, and we're going to let Raphie, whoever wins the chat, give that one away. And we'll make sure we announce that before the end of the show. So, before we get started, I want to celebrate some PBs because we exist for one thing, to help you have more fun fishing, and so that you can hopefully become a better angler. And so I want to celebrate some people today. So I'd love to celebrate Myron Radinsky, 3 pounds, 15-ounce PB on a KVD Dream Shot. Stephen Ward, 5 pounds, 12 ounces on a Zoom YouTube. Elias Scott, 6 pounds, 3 ounces on a crankbait. And Stephen Lucas, 6'6" on a jig. And Gavin Nelson, 7 pounds, 1 ounce on a ribbon tail worm. Impressive. If you've got your PB or you just got a really great catch, send it to us. You can hit up monsterbass.com/PB. Fill out the form at the bottom. If we name you during the show, we'll send you a little something in the mail. So, so there you have it. So why don't we, Fixie, why don't we get the guys in here, see what's going on? What's going on, guys?
Just, it's good to be back. It's cold. It's really cold up where I'm at. So I'm wearing the snow hat. We're talking about cold water, cold weather. I'm ready. Let's do some cold water talk, I think.
I love that.
Yeah, Rick and I were just talking to Fix offline about how it's scheduled to rain at 7:30 tonight here in Rick's backyard.
Yeah, right here in my backyard.
Wow, that's pretty good. The schedule already happened here. It's already raining. So it's winter time. I think we went from this fall transition and we're jumping into winter, at least here on the West Coast for a little bit. I know other places, they got a heat wave coming, so they'll be warm for a couple more weeks, but yeah, it's exciting. Got stuff going.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So what does that really mean when we talk about cold weather fishing, right? Like the weather temperature in Michigan when it's cold and the weather temperature in Alabama when it's cold are two different things. So what does cold weather fishing really mean?
Yeah, I think you probably, those are fighting words when you're going to talk to a person in Texas, what's cold versus Michigan. I'm going to tell you, fish metabolism starts to change in water. And I'm not a scientist on this, but around 60 degrees, fish start to do different things. And then talking regionally, we have to start talking and isolating species. Largemouth bass, the big green fish, they're going to act a little different, obviously, in different water temps. Spotted bass, for sure. They can swim up and down water columns a whole lot in the wintertime. And then you have, of course, smallmouth. So if we're talking specific bass act different by species in cold water and cold water regionally. I think it really comes down to the seasonal change wherever you live. I mean, I'm in Northern California, and around here, like, I don't like cold weather personally. So I think that dictates my own idea of cold water. But you get down to 60 degrees, the fish have definitely started to change. Scientifically, the land changes temperatures a lot quicker than water does. So if you think of the ocean temp versus the land temp, it's about 2 months behind on the water change versus land change. People don't always think of that. So the water,
I have a question then.
I love this information. He's like, wait a minute, this is what it is. Let's go. What do you got?
The land temperature changes quicker than the water temperature. Is that what you're saying?
So every night in California, say it's going to be 40 degrees, it may get as high as 70. Your water does not have a 30-degree change. Now we're talking air temperature, but the upper surface of the dirt, when you touch that, and we're not talking about Arctic tundra, but we're talking about the land, definitely fluctuates faster than water. Water holds its heat longer than dirt does. This is just scientific, crazy things to understand. And then as fishing, this is our hard problem of fishing. We all are like, the water temperature is 65 degrees. Well, your sonar equipment and your surface temp is all we're talking about with water temp. So that's the understanding of where you're reading the water is really just a small view of what the fish are feeling. And most of the fish are not living in that upper 12 inches.
Okay, so maybe this is a stupid question and perhaps you can't answer this because you're not a scientist. But from what limited knowledge I have of cold water fishing, right? Mm-hmm. Bass, their metabolism slows down and they tend to find places that are either warmer or attract prey, so they don't have to fight as hard or work as hard for their meals. So why is it that, like, it seems to be common knowledge that in cold water you want to hit structure like rocks, and one of the reasons why is because the rocks help retain the heat of the water in the surrounding area. Doesn't that seem to run counter to what you just said?
I tell you what, you're a scientist. What you're understanding is the rocks can hold heat. They can heat up in the water right around it. It's kind of an opposite thing, and it gets really deep really quick, and I don't want to go too far off topic. If you're fishing a tree and a stump growing up out of the water, in the summertime with the direct sun, the water's warm, you're going to throw towards the shadow. In the wintertime, you're going to throw towards the sun side because that fish is trying to get warm. And it can be as little as 1 degree difference.
I see.
But you're also directly right, is the metabolism of the fish slow down. So I think the step back when Rick is talking about what's cold water, I think right now we're in this transitional time to recognize weather is the important factor in fishing. And we're talking about low pressure, high pressure. Do you have any deer around where you guys live? And that's just this question to consider other animals versus a house cat or a house dog, domesticated animals. When a storm is coming, animals generally move to go find food before they can't get out to get food. Fish are the same way right now, where you have these storm fronts coming in. They pre-feed before this the low pressure, and then there's this doldrum that happens after the front. So that's really what's going on. Same thing with the winter. It's like, oh my gosh, we have this fall feed. They're seasonally eating, not just so much as directed with the storm eating. And so you start to cue into other animals, and you're going to start to see, hey, I can follow these bass. I have great success on these days. And then understanding when it's cold, we're gonna have to go and find the fish where they live. And the fish are not hibernating, but their metabolism is down, and they're down in the lower, deeper water.
I think you nailed it for me when you're like in the summertime, you cast towards the shadows, and then in the wintertime you cast towards the sun side. And then that makes sense because the sun hits the rocks heat up quicker than the water itself. And in turn, the heat that they give off raises the temperature like 1 or 2 degrees. That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
You're ready to go fish. Let's do this.
Let's go. First, I got to find deer in our area.
I have deer all over my backyard, and every 2 days before the storm, I don't know if any of you have an injury, you get old, you're like, oh, my knee's hurting, a storm's coming. Animals connect with the temperature. They don't have their little apps on their phone telling them it's going to rain and they need to go find food. They just historically go find food. I mentioned the dog. We used to have a dog that run underneath the bed a day or so before because it's kind of needing some shelter. It's kind of nervous when the storm's coming. So that's the thing, as you cue into the animals, we're chasing animals. We're hunting fish. And so you got to understand their behavior, what's going on.
Well, I mean, I could sit here and talk about cold weather and the baits that are in November's box, but I think I'll save that for later, especially since they didn't arrive. So I can only talk about it. I can't show it to you.
Oh, well, okay. I have a question for you, Rick.
Yes.
If cold weather is subjective, and what cold in Michigan is different than cold in Southern California, and you're putting together a box of baits specifically for cold weather, how do you put something together that kind of compensates for the different degrees and changes in temperature in different regions?
Well, then you simply break the country into regions, Raphie, and then send different baits to the people in Michigan than you do to the people in Florida. And
do you have you're saying regionally specific boxes? This is like groundbreaking information. Wow.
Groundbreaking.
This is
and some months we do a better job than others because, again, it's always subjective too, right? Because just because I think that you can throw a spinnerbait in a given month in a given region, you might disagree with me, and probably most of that comes down to your personal preference. But that's where I think the subscription of Monster Bass kind of helps, because I'm going to send you the baits that we think are a good fit for your region this time of year, and then if we give you the tips and around how to use it, I think it just comes down to being open to it. And I think for most of us, right, we're creatures of habit. So if we always throw a lipless in cold weather, we're probably going to always throw a lipless and may not be willing to try something else.
Can I jump on that real quick? I think that's the beauty of the box, is you get these baits, and if you're looking with an open mind, being humble enough to learn something from an expert, we'll go into this in a little bit, but here you have this bait that a lot of people know as an Alabama rig, a rig, umbrella rig. You mentioned a spinner bait. Most people don't associate this spinner bait with wintertime fishing. This is literally half of this. We know this bait has been attributed to catching a tremendous amount of fish when the water's even at like 40 degrees. This is the same bait. It's just smaller, and it's a little less of the protruding arm. So that's a great way to understand, hey, a spinner bait may not always be the go-to in your mind at 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 60 degrees. That bait is amazing at catching cold water winter bass. But most people probably don't think of a spinnerbait. They're thinking summertime, whatever, windy points, moving this across the upper water column. You throw that same spinnerbait and let it get to the bottom like you would an A-rig. It's a great way to catch fish down deep. So you're spot on. It's a lot of times we have these preconceived ideas of what's going to work for us, and we're creatures of habit. Like you said, Monster Bass Box gives you an opportunity to get out of that mold and become more diversified.
Yeah, I might make the argument that you could almost fish, with a few exceptions, any bait, any time of year. I think it comes down to the presentation, the cadence, the colors, and I think that it's just being open to trying something new.
You're right. You could take a lipless, as long as it's not going to get hung up in grass. You can make a lipless go vertical like a blade bait. You can make a lipless look like a crankbait by retrieving it. So presentation, retrieve, all these different things. You have a really solid argument that depending on how you present it, you can make the bait look different. So of course that bait's going to work in different conditions. So it's a smart way of thinking about it.
Yeah. I'd love to know what everyone sitting at home thinks. I mean, the hotline is open, 323-210-4180. And, if you call in, you got a better chance than of winning something than the person that's not calling in. So
is the hotline confirmed open?
I don't know. Jared?
Well, yeah.
All right. So I'm not. Did you guys bump me out? Did I lose hotline privileges?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but let's get back to cold water while Fixie's fixing that. Is it fix?
It looks like it's fixed. It looks like it might not have ever been broken.
You like
Might
that?
have been,
Fix?
Might have been user error.
Okay. So back to cold.
Before cold water, Raphie, are you typing in underneath other people's names on the chat? Because in the chat, it keeps coming up like you are awesome and we're glad to have you back. I'm just wondering, are you logged in as a bunch of other people? Is that what's going on today?
No. So the thing is, that's a very good question.
No.
Thank you for setting me up, Chris. The thing is that the winner of the chat, right, of this week's chat.
Oh, that's okay. Say no more. You
And-
get to
yeah.
pick the win. Because I was going to tell them I would never pick a winner. I'm not picking a winner based on I love Raphie. So you're going to give the real to the I love Raphie. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
historically, I haven't even picked relationships based on I love Raphie.
Well, it's first time
Wow.
for everything. Yeah, first time. Somebody's loving Raphie. This is exciting.
It feels uncomfortable.
Oh, I like it. All right, so cold water. I'm just going to tell you, cold water up by us. We're coming out of the 70s. We're getting in the 60s. The water's going to get kind of cold. What's really neat is locally at our lake, we have this lake tech company they've installed a buoy, and we get to see the water temperature down every 10 feet all the way to the bottom.
Really?
And then we could get crazy offline about how the thermocline and the water temperatures start to flip, and the warm water actually raises as the cold temperature. There's all these weird things that happen. We're talking about just an overview of, hey, the water's getting colder. What are the fish doing? Raphie, you taught everybody right at the beginning. The fish, have you ever seen a really fat fish? And I'm not going to say a bass, but think of all other fish. Have you ever seen a really fat tuna?
Yeah.
So there's some fat tuna, and they grade tuna meat by basically they take a core sample and it's how much fat is in it. There's reasons, because tuna being warm-blooded, it's pretty interesting, but bass are cold-blooded. So cold-blooded fish, bass sometimes get a little chubby, but they're opportunistic eaters. That's why they'll feed up. But historically, there's really no rotundra bass that's like overfed. They're going to eat what's available to them, and they're all kind of about the same. You got some skinny bass, some fat bass. Bass eat based on how much energy they're using. In the wintertime, they just don't move around as much, and they settle down normally towards the bottom. You mentioned, Raphie, some key things that they'll settle towards the bottom where they have a steep bank where they can get up to shallow and get up to sunlight, and they can get up to a warmer area by a rock or structure. They have that desire to go up there in the wintertime, and they don't want to have to travel a long distance. So if you're thinking of bass, they're probably going to be hanging out at the bottom of a steeper bank in the wintertime. So they still can move, they can still ambush, and they can still hunt. But climate dictates, as the water is no longer fun for a human to swim in, you're probably thinking it's getting pretty cold, and now you have to start changing your strategies to catch those bass. So that's kind of my definition is cold water. Like if I really need a wetsuit to go out and swim and I'm not wanting to do a cold plunge therapy, the water's probably cold to those bass as well, because they're not warm-blooded creatures.
So how do you prepare differently for cold weather? when
Well,
you're heading
cold
out to
weather,
the water?
I mean, I cheat. I bring a Mr. Heater out on my boat. So my wife, we have these golf cart heaters. We're in kayaks, and instead of a golf cart heater that's actually burning propane, because they're illegal on boats. So I'm giving nobody the idea to do this. But I bring heaters. I wear a lot of clothes. I hate being cold, and understanding I like to fish moving more often. So I think it's that ADHD that I have, and so understanding presenting the bait right on the nose of the fish, understanding how they're going to take the bait. You can still get a good reaction bite, but I am not one to cast a bait and sit there and wait for the fish to catch it. I'm going to be moving and I need the energy. I've got to, and that helps me stay warm. So I fish a little different than, people in the wintertime. But yeah, warm clothes is super important.
You use a front facing heater?
I like a rear facing heater, actually. That's what I prefer.
Wow. Wait a minute. You don't like the cold, but you used to ride snowboards.
I still would snowboard. It's freezing cold. I'm getting old. I mean, I just had a birthday. So did you. Do you like the cold weather?
I grew up in Syracuse, New York, and I moved to Los Angeles for a reason.
You don't need that. So, and I remember when I think you were kind of whining. You were out walking in the morning and it was probably like 70. Yeah. And you're like, I moved here because it was supposed to be 80 every day. And you're mad because it's 70. I'm right with you. I echo that. Kelly, upstairs right now, we have a fire burning, and I promise you, it's like 85 in our house from burning wood, and it's perfect. It feels so nice. So she had a friend come over, and her son actually had to take his shirt off in our house today because she has the house so warm. So yeah, I prefer warm weather. It's all good.
Go ahead, Raphie. I'll let you.
No.
I set myself up. I was just like, you dodged all of that so well. That was nice.
Oh my God.
As I was saying it, I was trying not to say it. I was already going and it was fine. So,
all right.
Warm house.
So you like to throw moving baits when it's cold out. I get it because, I mean, no disrespect to the drop shot, but just dropping in the water and just sitting there and going, it sounds horrible.
I brought one of my favorite ones you had in the box a while ago. Might be kind of hard to see.
What is it?
It's the lunker hunt. I think it was called like the big eye. It's the tailspin.
Oh, big eye tailspin.
The big eye tailspin. I'll hold that back up if I can get a view. I know it's with the lighting. It's kind of weird. And I'll just throw it down. If you think of shad, if you think of bait balls of fish, and they're also coming together in deeper areas. One of the easiest ways to target bass is to search for those bait balls. Birds are one thing because the birds they'll actually fly in, swim down. And if you have great sonar, whether it's forward facing or bottom facing, down facing, you can see the birds swim through these bait balls and go and catch the fish. And so the bass historically are underneath those bait balls. The bait are swimming around, they're running into each other. Some are falling out. And so those bass are just forage feeding underneath the bait balls. If you can throw a bait, like whether it's a spoon or these tailspins or blade baits, that's my favorite wintertime fishing, is throwing a bait through the bait balls, working them up and down vertically, and just catching a whole lot of bass. So to me, that's my favorite wintertime fishing. And I'll go, I mean, this is right there. You're talking like a 10-inch flutter spoon, and you're not getting a small fish to eat those things. They're going after a big meal, and you're basically throwing that thing right on their nose, and you're just moving a lot. So super fun way to fish.
All right. So you like blade baits, spoons, things like that. What are you guys at home like? What are you throwing when the water gets colder? I want to know. Call in and let's talk about it. Raphie,
Yes.
you did some cold water fishing last year.
We did. Yeah. We also did some cold water scaring away French Canadians off the reservation. That was a lot of fun too.
We did. What were you throwing?
I think I was throwing just a Ned rig. I was throwing like whatever is really simple, and they say you're supposed to be patient with it and just drag it along the bottom. That's what I was throwing. I was catching a lot of seagrass and weeds.
Well, that is the St. Lawrence, though. I mean,
yeah,
that's a tough body of water to be throwing stuff down on the bottom.
Yeah, but the first day was fun.
First day was fun.
Yeah, second day was a little windy, and I couldn't feel anything.
Here's what I want to know. I want to hear from. Is Cotton in the chat?
Cotton sure is.
Cotton, I want you to call in. I want to know what cold means to you in Texas. I want to know what the water temperature, what cold water means to you there, and I want to know what you're throwing. So do me a favor, hit the hotline. I'd like to hear from you. And then
and with a caveat that one time 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago when it froze over for the first time in 100 years doesn't count.
Fair enough. Here, I thought you were just going to reinforce the 2-minute rule kind of thing. I thought you were. I didn't know that's what you were going to talk about, but
No. At this point, we need Cotton to call in. He can talk for as long as he wants. We got no one in the queue. Maybe nobody knows what the prize is that for best caller. It's a pretty big box of random baits.
I mean, I could pull it out.
Yeah, let's see it. I think I'm giving this thing away.
Yeah, you sure are.
Should I just give away the knife too?
Yeah, do the knife.
No, don't give away the knife.
The knife's pretty good, right? I saw Rambo back in the whenever. Someone gave that to me. The boxes of baits are over by Fix, so I can't actually go get them. But they're pretty darn good. There's probably, I don't know, 40, 50 bait. 40, let's just call it 40 baits in each box. So it's a pretty good size
Cotton
box.
says he's calling. Yeah, Cotton's in the chat. The chat is filled with people giving the, I mean, it's so fun to read what people are talking about throwing. Well, hopefully they'll call in, but jerk bait, it's a no-brainer. That's a go-to. This is a moving bait. You can suspend it, you can hold it, you can twitch it, it'll settle. You have spy baits that are kind of a newer bait that's out there. It's a little bit more difficult. I'm not really well versed. That's a bait I mentioned. I want to catch 100 fish on a specific bait before I feel I can talk about it. I had a person that texted me after I said that the last show. He's like, some of us don't catch 100 fish in our whole life. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just saying, okay, I get it. I like I said, I've lived by an aquarium. So having these other baits and trying them, people are talking all in the chat about what they use in the wintertime. Let's get a caller and talk, because it is fun. Regionally, I think it's different. And like you're saying, creatures of habit, we do things that are successful. So I think that's really important to key into that. And then like you said, though, Rick, any bait presented, I think honestly can work if you present it the right way. So
all right,
Totally.
Before I call in Chauncey,
Yeah.
I just want to say that John Ellis is in the lead with his comment. Just because I had to go up a belt size doesn't mean I'm a fat bass.
I saw that. Yeah, we're not judging people. We're not judging bass. We're not judging people. It's bass body confident over here. It's all fine.
Yeah. Bass body confidence. Yes, positive bassativity. I don't know.
Bassativity. I like that.
All right.
What's up, Chauncey?
That's a new month. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hey, Rick, Chris, Raphie.
What's going on, man?
Man, I just got off work and went to the dentist, and they just wrecked my mouth. So my mouth is like super sore right now.
Are you
Don't do it,
Are you
Raphie.
jacked on
Don't do
Novocaine?
Thank you, Figs.
No, just sore. Yeah, they just gave me a cleaning.
Okay, you have my permission now, Rafi.
Just don't.
So Chauncey, how's it going, by the way? Besides
Yep.
the obvious.
It's been going good. I haven't talked to you guys in a while.
Yeah. What do you have? No more PBs down at the border, right?
No.
Okay.
No, the border mission, I'm done with that now that I'm retired now. So
All right. Well,
no
good.
more military for me. So.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you for your service. Now, tell us about cold water in Texas. What does that mean to you? What's the temperature? How do you prepare differently for it? And what are you throwing?
Okay. Well, first off, in Texas, there's a lot of lakes in Texas, believe it or not. There is your regular lakes, but here in Texas, there's also a lot of power plant lakes. And a lot of guys in Texas actually migrate to those power plant lakes during the wintertime. And there is some phenomenal fishing in these power plant lakes during the wintertime. And Fayette is one of them. Fayette has produced a ton of good fish. And that's where I got my PB this year also. And I'm telling you, that lake is really, really good. There is, I believe, 9, if I'm not mistaken, 9 power plant lakes here in Texas. And usually the water temperature stays about 90 coming out of the discharge and about 70 to 80 in the rest of the lake. Now, in the regular lakes, your water temperatures go down to about 40 to 50, somewhere around there. Pretty consistent with the air temp during the wintertime here, so it doesn't get too awfully cold unless we have those freak storms that came through like a couple years ago with the ice storm. Yeah, that was brutal. But Yeah, mostly they stay about 40 to 50 in the winter in the Texas lakes, but those power plant lakes, all fishermen here in Texas migrate to them during the wintertime. And then, in those power plant lakes, you basically could throw a summer pattern in those power plant lakes during the winter. But on the regular lakes, you got to go back to your winter pattern, which is like what Chris had: a spoon, a jig, a fluke that is weighted so you can get down on like rock cliffs and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's the way it is in Texas.
Yeah, you're nailing it. Those power plant lakes, when you have a discharge, if you think a nuclear power plant, they're cooling a reactor. That man-made warm water, you've just changed the season. That's really what's happened is you've kept those fish where their metabolism is high. As long as there's bait fish, there's some kind of forage food, those fish are going to keep moving. You're going to get a reaction bite year round. That's a unique, special opportunity. And that's something that people that key into. That's why the fish, their growing season, if you think about hibernation and you think about eating constantly, you get huge fish in those lakes. So congrats on figuring that out. That's one of those things that you never really think that through. It's like, oh my gosh, if you don't have that in your area, that's a reason to maybe migrate south to Texas during the winter and go and fish a warm water lake when you just don't have that. There's something to be said about people that catch bass ice fishing as well. That's a whole nother idea of the fish never stop eating. They just don't have to eat as much, but they also just don't expend the energy. They're still happy to eat a big meal, and you can put the bait right in front of them. And that's kind of this ice fishing idea. People are nailing it in the chat. Again, people find out ways to catch fish. You imagine if you needed to eat fish as a human, you're going to still go out and try to catch fish in the wintertime. You just got to find out where they're at. Generally speaking, when it's colder, they're going to get down towards
things. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's kind of delay. Sorry about that. With one of the key features of the power plant lake is that, the fish spawn in a regular lake once a year. In a power plant lake down here in Texas, they spawn up to 4 times in the lake.
Yeah.
Dang.
Because the water temp is so high. Yeah.
It stays long. I talked about having this fall spawn. That's what happens if the water's warm. Bluegill will spawn every month that the water's over 70 degrees. And those lakes, they're going to spawn every month. So you have this whole bait fish, forage fish. You have fish that are just growing like crazy. So you're pretty special opportunity. Then the other part is you have current moving that water that is going through a thermal reaction on the discharge. Now you have current and you have other places to fish. You have eddy lines. It's pretty magical. I don't know if people probably have a preference of saying, oh, I wouldn't fish anything like that. It's the same thing as a backed up river system and they're releasing water. East Coast, you talk about the lakes, they may not be generating power, but a lot of times they are. And that's when it's like the fish react to the tide in the California Delta. They react to feeding windows, reacting to when they're letting the water go through a lot of those lakes. So it's really when you have a man-made weather station or you have a man-made electricity discharge, that's all weather. You're talking about tides, you're talking about moving water, you're talking about temperature. Fish are reacting to weather, whether it's man-made or it's nature-made. So those are the things to key into.
Yeah, I would think that a body of water that has discharged from a power plant like that would be, I'm guessing it would be easier to fish if it's spawning 4 times a year, but at the same time, like, how do you plan the weather? It would be so unpredictable because it's not just based upon what's taking place outdoors. That power plant is discharging water and I would say it's turning it into a circus in the water.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
You are correct on that.
I was going to ask, Rick, do you track? Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, do you track the weather and use that? Basically, not the weather, but do you track the discharges in fish, knowing when they're releasing water and not?
Oh yes. Oh, definitely. There's an actual power plant website here in Texas that you can actually track when they're going to turn on and off. And when you go to the park ranger, they'll tell you the time when you go into the park.
So Rick, what I was going to say is they get
as soon as that reactor kicks up, the fish get real active near that discharge. As soon as the turbines get kicked on. So
Cool.
Yeah, it's opposite. Good. I mean, the great call to key into that. They're playing God because they're controlling the weather. They're controlling the discharge. So it's less of a circus. They get to plan and go and they fish exactly when they want to. They know when the fishing's going to get good. They actually physically get to turn on a switch and it improves fishing. So good for you for figuring that out. That's cool insight.
Hey, Chauncey, I don't know if you picked up on that, but how would you feel about all of us Californians coming over to Texas?
Yeah, let's go.
hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I
Let's
made a trip.
California
I
or
just made a
Texas.
trip out there to California, and while I was out there in San Diego, man, beautiful weather, constant weather, man. I was like loving it. I didn't even want to come back to Texas because as soon as I got off the plane here in Texas, it was 100 degrees. I was like, dude, get me on the plane. I'm going back to San Diego.
You do know what the cost of that weather is, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
It's actually what it is. It's $7 a gallon. On
Yeah.
weather call.
I was just in Tennessee, and I walked in. I was filling up the car, and I bought a bottle of Smart Water, and I found myself laughing because I walked outside. I looked at my receipt. I had paid $3.49 for the bottle of water and $2.99 for the gallon of gas. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Smart. Yeah, it's real smart. I like it.
Yeah, where you went back to in that area of Tennessee, that's where I grew up.
I know.
And as a kid there.
Love it.
That's where I learned how to fish, actually, at La Follette, North Dam and stuff like that. Yep, it was right there.
Perfect.
All right. So, Chauncey held me down when I visited him in Texas, where he introduced me as Raphie from California and then said, but no, not that California. So Chauncey, while I appreciate you for doing that, so I didn't get, killed while I was out there, I'm still going to drop the call.
Wow.
And well, we got somebody else coming up.
All right. Thanks, Chauncey. Thanks, Chauncey.
Thanks, Chauncey.
It's all good.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, it was good talking to you guys. I'll see you.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's that delay he was talking about.
Hey, I lived in Texas for 3 years. Those are my people. We got to be nice.
Yeah, I was nice. I told him.
I know. Actually, you were. It's nice.
We could do a whole episode on just getting the background story on Chris. Surfer, snowboarder, he makes socks, lived here, lived there, has 1,800 grandkids, and married his high school sweetheart. Like, we should do a whole episode on that, and then we'll come back and we'll do a follow-up on Raphie.
We should. We should have whoever this unknown caller from Big Sandy, Tennessee is ask Chris a question.
Okay, great.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, caller. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, this is Shane.
So close.
Sandy.
Shane, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I got my first box today.
Yeah, and?
I'm excited. Yeah, I liked everything.
Great.
So I'm also, the questions, I have one question. I'd like to get past box, like that live target box. Is that possible?
Yeah, so actually, I don't have a live target box. I have a lunker hunt box. And I'm gonna let everyone in on something right now. I've got a special that went out today to the people on the VIP list. So if you're not on the VIP list, you want to get on it pretty quick. You want to text VIP to I think it's 46083. I'll find out for sure. But if you go to the website and there's a section for previous month's boxes or one-time boxes, you can use code 1024 and you can get a box, buy one, get one free.
Nice.
Yeah. Today only.
Yes.
So.
Also, I got to have a question about the ticket here.
Okay.
So, once the number is called out and it doesn't match, do I throw that ticket away or do I hang on to it for like next week?
Yeah, I would hang on to it for next week.
Oh, so it's not just for, it's good for this whole month, I guess,
Sure.
the whole month of shows?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Even better.
Yep.
Is DHL always, DHL delivering the rest of my packages?
I don't know. What'd you order?
Have that set up?
What'd you order?
I didn't order anything. I just the Monster box. I ordered that. You know, my first subscription box.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's probably DHL. We use DHL, UPS, and FedEx. And I know in the chat people are going to light me up and tell me DHL is the worst. And I'm going to tell you the analytics tell me otherwise. The analytics will tell me that DHL is by far the best. Now, listen, in different areas of the country, DHL is great. FedEx is better. UPS, it's hit or miss. They're all, you know, they all do.
They're all
best
the
they
worst.
can. They're all. So.
Well, yeah, no, hey, it is what it is. I was just curious. I also used to work for a competitor. I will not mention.
Ooh, mention it.
And
Rhymes.
UPS
Okay.
Oh,
and FedEx, but I did printing for FedEx.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
they used to own their own printing shop.
Amazing. Amazing. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
Do you?
and so,
Go ahead.
yes, sir.
I was going to ask you if you had a question about either the baits you received or you know, you got a question about cold weather fishing, or you want to just tell me about your favorite baits you like to fish this time of year.
Rick, I have a question for you.
Okay.
My question is, do you have a question for Shane about like the baits that he received or fishing this time of year?
I do.
Good question.
Shane, do you have?
All right, hit me.
Yeah. Do you have a question about the baits that you received in your very first box?
I have no questions. I do like. I tell you what. So the monster bass worms that were sent for this month, nice, sweet. I'm impressed with those.
Well, we're going to talk about those.
Obviously, I'm impressed with the whole box. What also surprised me is the big name products in there. I said, "Whoa, Bagley! Whoa, Yozuri!" I loved it.
Great.
I'm happy. The
Good.
chunks, they're excellent. Exos, I'll give the hooks out. I haven't tried those yet, but I'm going to give them a try.
Amazing.
Especially their finesse hooks. So I love finesse hooking.
There you go. So, Shane, what's your PB?
What do you mean?
What's your personal best, your biggest bass?
Oh, wow. I'm 60 years old. So I've hit over 10 pounds a couple of times. I don't keep that, you know. I let everything go. I would say my personal best, let's just say 10 pounds.
Good for you. Good for you, man.
I tell you what, the first time I moved to Big Sandy, you know, we're right, Big Sandy River, Tennessee River. First day I moved here and went fishing. I was trying to get happy because I went through a divorce. It was snowing on me that day. The very first cast I threw a tiny crappie spinner bait.
Okay.
And caught, you know, a 6-pound bass. And man, I was hollering, and these duck hunters come around, and well, you know, they saw the bass, and it was just a great time. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to like Big Sandy.
Love it. Love it. Well, listen.
Hey, I love the show.
Thank you. And I hope you love the boxes. I hope you tune in next week.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I'm ready for another one.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you taking time to call in. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I watched the show. Like, it only took a week to get my box, so that's not bad, right?
Yeah.
I think last week was the day I ordered, and I watched the live show. So it's only been a week.
Good stuff.
So, hey, I'm all happy.
And this one is
man.
much better, right? With 3 hosts instead of 2. How do you like the 3 host format?
Yeah.
All right.
I see you got room for a 4th.
No, all right. You know what? Nice talking to you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's awesome.
All
All right.
right, we got Steven Scott from Memphis.
Well, let's go.
That's the hype man, so whatever.
It's
And
the
you
hype
didn't
man.
call me when you come to Tennessee.
well, I was here
You
for
didn't call me.
I was here for a very short time. I had to go straight to the convention center, stand on the convention center floor, and then leave the convention center.
It's all good. You're on the other side of the state anyway, so.
Totally.
And it's 7 hours or so from me. But anyway, so my number one in the wintertime, because we do get cold here, I'm throwing a blade bait first. Shiny, bouncing it on the bottom. Sometimes I'll cut the front treble off so I can drag it even more. Bounce it over there, and, it just seems to work. I alternate between that and big saw swim baits, just rolling them on the bottom. And it's pretty simple. I mean, they're going to either eat something really little or they're going to eat something really big.
Smart man. Hey, have you ever seen the blade bait hooks that look like a? Go ahead. Keep going.
No, yeah, go ahead. No, you're good. I
yes.
think I know what you're going to ask, where they're actually made with 2 trebles instead of 3.
No, there's some blade baits out there that have like a frog hook on them.
Yep.
So they actually exactly what you're talking about. They're frog hooks and they go back on each side. So there's not a treble hook to be caught up. They come over structure. They don't get hung up in rocks as much. That's something you can make an adjustment to your blade bait. Really cool way to fish a blade bait.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to lose some. Fortunately, They're not terribly expensive unless you go into the JDM or some of those. But, just getting it down there and the funny thing is I'm much more successful with a blade bait than a lipless, which is similar concept.
Yeah, I actually tease. I call a lipless. It's a hollow-bodied blade bait. I grew up fishing a blade bait. The Johnson Thin Fisher, I think they're like $2. I don't even know what they cost. That's what I first found out the success I could have with a blade bait like that. And the reason you throw them so far, you can cover a ton of water, yo-yo on them back. You can fish them vertical. Like you said, you're going to get hung up, but at some point you're going to put that thing right on the nose of a fish and you're going to probably end up with a bite. So super, super fun way to catch fish from the wintertime.
Oh yeah, it's actually, I prefer, aside from freezing my nuts off, I prefer fishing in the wintertime. I'm just more successful. I think they're more predictable than when they're just out roaming everywhere. They just seem a little bit more predictable, and I can bundle up.
Smart man. No, they congregate. That's this whole thing is spawn happens and all the fish will come up and spawn. Half the fish quite often will go back and live their life in the deep water, and then half the fish stay up shallow. Wintertime, those shallow water fish retreat, and now you have, again, all the fish down deep in the wintertime. So you really think about your chances of success to catch a fish. When they're all congregated in one area, you have a better chance of catching something out there. So, your law of average and science working on your side. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say the other variation, something that I've gotten into in the last year is, and primarily with Berkeley because they have them, but is the slow rise or suspending cranks down there where they're not floating up right away. And this is year round. It just depends on the depth, but especially you put it out there in front of their face long enough, just that natural predatory reaction. And
yeah, they're gonna
very similar. Like I'm not a big jerk bait guy at all, so I've started using the fit side or any of those Berkeley baits that will suspend a little bit, or even adding a little weight on the bottom of them, or changing the hooks to a little bit heavier where they will truly suspend. Because for some reason, I've caught fish on a jerk bait, but not consistently. So
right.
I found for me, using that, it's similar concept.
No, it's good. Fish what you know. Can I ask you how long you've been fishing?
Seriously, about 4 years. I mean, I've fished my entire life, but really, truly, right before COVID, decided, you know what, my kids didn't really like catfishing because it's just so slow and boring. So I said, hey, let's get into a little bit more sport fishing. And then, of course, COVID hit and got all the time in the world to be out distancing. So, that's about when I found monster bass, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. No, it's a good story. I mean, understanding you like fishing almost better in the wintertime. That's kind of unique, but I think it's indicative of your way to find success catching fish. That's awesome. Congrats to that.
I appreciate that. Now, I really hate that when I used to travel all over the place that I didn't fish in California. I worked for AutoZone and oversaw store development and built one in Clear Lake, built one all over the Delta, built them everywhere, and just wasn't into fishing like I am now.
Yeah, I bet you wish you were fishing more when you're hanging out in Clear Lake and the Delta. But yeah, it's still here. Come on back anytime. We'll go fish.
I tell you what, I love California. The cities are what they are, but the rest of California is some of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah, we probably all feel the same, so it's good.
Yeah. A little bit. So, well, listen, man, thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, I'll get off here and.
That's a good idea.
He's doing Raphie's job. Great talking with you.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
Yeah, I already let him go. Once he said I'll get off of here, I decided to help.
Yeah, I knew. I could see the hint there.
How we doing on time? We got 3 more callers in the queue.
Let's take it. We'll take those 3.
All right.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, what's up, Rick? What's up, Chris? What's up, Ralphie? This is me, Steve. I called last week and I got cut off from somebody. Just kidding.
That would be Jared.
How is that possible? Yeah, it couldn't have been me.
And then
I was
called
in the air.
back,
I
and
was
I was waiting.
The spirit of
coming back.
Raphie got you. We apologize.
Oh, you're fine. No, I was just wanting to about that tournament that I was talking about. Well, I finished 64th, but the last day was terrible. I wanted to ask Chris, what would he use because the water was so flooded really bad that I tried a jig, I tried a worm, nothing. What would Chris use on a flooded day?
Yeah, if the fish are going to move up, oftentimes, depending on the time of year, of course, and depending on water temperature, if the fish have new access to new shoreline and it is flooded, I'm going to probably throw something up into that shallow water and move it and try to entice a bite. I'd probably throw a bladed jig to start and move it across that flooded area and hopefully entice a fish that's up. He's checking things out. He or she, I don't know what the fish is, but there's going to swim around. There's going to be a lot of worms and things that are coming up out of the soils that's recently flooded. The smaller fish are moving up into some of the structures. So something, if you can fish flooded areas, if you could throw a buzz bait to entice them to show something's up in there, that's a thing to call some fish towards you with a real loud, noisy bait. But then throwing that bladed jig, I have a lot of confidence in a bait like that. It depends, of course, if there's some wind and some texture. So there's a lot of variables, but I would try to move the thing around. The other thing is that you could throw, I'm a fan of the Neko rig, but I fish it kind of fast and I'll move it. Again, it's a big Cinco style bait. You're bouncing it through some of that cover and moving it to see if there's fish up in there. So depending on the shoreline would really dictate the style of bait and what I'd use. If you could do a shallow diving crankbait, a square bill, something like that is another option to kind of deflect off some of that ground. But if it's flooded and it's grass, you got to be careful with the bait like that. But if it's flooded up on a rock area, if you can see where soils transition from a sandy bank to a rocky bank, so many variables to pick and choose. Like I just try to pick a side, the structure of what's going on. And if it's flooded, is it the creek arm where the water's coming in? I think those fish will feed up into those channels sometimes better. So hopefully that kind of tickles something in your brain of like, next time, maybe I'll look for that. And really your job quickly as the water level has risen, you need to find out where those fish are and quickly assimilate them. Yeah, you got to assimilate the pattern. It's like, we got to pick up, where are these fish at? Are they up really shallow? What kind of structure pieces are they on? And then once you catch a couple fish, you can go and find the similar areas that duplicate the same setting. and that breaks down your pattern. So
Right.
for me, I just try to cover some water and see if I can entice a bite. If it's not working, quickly change size. Even if you're up in the right exact area and there's fish in there, you may not get them to bite. So go from a bigger bait to a smaller bait. I mentioned before, if you could throw a big swim bait up there and just see if you get a follower, not necessarily catching them. Super hard to do that in a tournament. Yeah, I mean, throw a swim bait. You can just do a constant retrieve and see if a couple fish come out and follow. You got to have some real good sunglasses. So definitely make sure you got your polarized sunglasses on and you can see what's happening. A lot of times with flooded water, though, it's going to be murky. It's going to be dirty. So you can't really see if there's a follower. So it's just so many variables. That's the thing, is just, I keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And don't be afraid to just, really go in and cover a lot of water in that new murky flooded area. Because a lot of times the fish are doing the same thing as you. They're up investigating. And you got to give them something that's loud because they're probably not going to see it. And when you say loud, it's underwater. So something that vibrates and moves water. Could be a spinnerbait, bladed jig, but that's what I'd go for.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Next time. There's always the cool thing is.
Not a question. Well, thanks for that advice, Chris. I'm going to use that next time if I come to flooded waters again.
Yeah.
Because I caught shit.
That happens.
Anyways, on that cold water thing.
Yeah, stop fishing.
Water thing.
Stop fishing in the toilet.
At the river a lot, I use a rattle trap.
Good choice.
Yeah.
In the cold water. I use a lot of rattle trap in cold water, and I bounce it off rocks. And I caught really nice sized smallmouth.
Yeah.
Down at the Mohawk River.
Nice. Did you have another question? I heard you wanting to ask something else.
I have a question for you, Rick.
Yeah.
Rick, I want to know if you have a question for Steven about whether or not he has another question.
Why? Why?
Steven,
don't listen to Raphie. So you're using a lip list. You got another question about cold water? Can I ask you a question? Do you like fishing cold water?
That's true. No, I don't.
All right.
I really
you know
don't.
what? And I'm gonna offer this suggestion, which we don't talk about as anglers. There's a reason it's cold. If you don't like it, the fish can use some time off from all the fishing pressure nowadays. So it's a great time to get some baits in bait boxes. You can learn online. There's all kinds of monster bass videos. They're teaching you how to use those baits. There's nothing wrong with going out and practicing technique. If it's too cold, you know what? It's okay. Right. I don't like it either. So, we'll figure it out. But thanks for calling. Thanks for the update. And, next time, get out there, keep covering water. At some point, you're going to find a fish.
Yeah. Thanks, Steven.
All right. I'm gonna. Yeah.
All right, buddy.
All right. Before we take our next call, I think I'm ready to call the winner of the chat. And it was actually really difficult. Yeah. I mean, well, we're about 3/4 of the way through the show. I don't want to save everything to the end.
Okay.
What if a great comment? What if there's an amazing comment? Are you ready to? Seriously, you're doing this?
Yeah, I'm ready to call it. I am.
I might give away a random prize if an amazing comment still comes up. I'm just telling you, because
you can.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure they notice. Don't stop commenting, because even though you're going to reward them, there's still a chance. Keep going.
There's still a chance. Well, it started out with Wyatt Collier. Very simple and elegant. His comment was, "Hi, Daddy." That did not win, though. Then Beth Langston talked about how she had a new kayak, but it was unused because she stinks at backing her trailer up, which I thought was hilarious and tragic.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Then Patrick Schaefer bumped her out of the winning spot because he said talking to Chris is like opening up a Monster Bass box. You never know what you're going to get, which I'm assuming was complimentary.
I saw that. I took it as a compliment, so it's fine.
Okay.
Hands down, the winner is Do Fishing, who posted in the chat that he caught his PB at 5 pounds 6 ounces. Like, how could we not make him the winner? Using Monster Bass to crush your PB. Congratulations, Do Fishing 76. Email us at marketing@monsterbass.com, and I will send you your brand new reel.
Doesn't he get a? Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay.
All right, let's figure out who we're talking to.
Go
now.
to the final 2 calls or whatever it is?
Sure.
Let's do it. Hello?
All right.
Hey guys, Doc Holliday.
Doc, how are you?
What's up, Doc?
Not too bad. And I called you
I
guys
get
a
it,
couple
Chris.
weeks ago. Here in Florida.
Yep.
I love winter fishing
Because you're in Florida?
here in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's
well, in the summertime it's so damn hot.
Choices.
your winter
but
fishing.
right
Your
now,
winter
so the
fishing
thing
is
is-
our summer.
Yes, pretty much. Yes, like right now it's beautiful out. But the fish are moving now, so there are fish up here or down here are going to the shallows, big time. So we're doing a lot of top water.
Now, why are they going to
That's
the
what we're
why are
doing,
they going to
so
the shallows this time of year?
Because it's warmer.
Warmer?
The water's getting warm for them. It stays. Well, they just go into the shallow water in the winter.
Okay.
So it stays warmer for them there, and that's when we start throwing it up in there. And then start catching them. So I was out there just the other day, and so they're moving. So they stay a lot of them in our channels. So we have a lot of channels down here from, I guess there are a lot of the old crops and stuff like that, that they just filled in with water, flooded them. And so we stay in the channels most of the time. So I'm trying to find out where they're moving to, because they are definitely moving from the deep water going into the shallow water. And I was out there the other day and I was using some of your stuff, which, by the way, I love the one thing that you sent out for a box about 2 months ago. It's a crawdad, like a translucent color. And I'm trying to use that because it's beautiful. It's beautiful in the water and everything else. I just haven't caught nothing on it yet. But I'm determined to catch something with it.
Okay.
But, so now we're throwing a lot of frogs. That's what I'm doing.
Love it.
And I'm just trying to find out where they're at.
Are you
the
catching
depth of the
fish? Are
water,
you
just
catching?
trying to find
Are
out
you,
because they're moving.
yeah, are you catching fish on frogs right now down there?
Yes.
That's awesome. And for us, we're catching fish, and that's the thing is this
Yeah.
fall transition. The fish, even in our lakes, it hasn't gone to true winter fishing. You get this fall time, and everyone starts talking about buzz baits and frogs and things in the shallows. They're really feeding up, thinking of the seasonal change, and so you'll have this moment where the fishing can be dynamic and amazing. And if it's a pre-front fishing day and it's fall and they're feeding, you can have probably the best fishing of your life. And so Florida goes through that seasonal change. I fished there just a little bit, but you do have fish that move up. The sun is keeping that water in those shallows warm. You're lucky. And I know the same as in Texas, and they were talking about that. You can do top water pretty much year round. And it's really just a matter of finding those fish
Yes.
and finding what they're eating, looking at the bait fish and the forage fish that they're consuming, trying to match that whole, that hatch the same size and the same style of movements. You're in a special place of our country to fish and have great bass fishing year round. So, good for you for capitalizing on that. I'm a little jealous as it's going to be like 40 degrees here soon. I may have to call you and come visit and say hi. So that's
Totally.
awesome.
Hey, anytime. Got extra space. There's no doubt about it. We've got all these beautiful places here, but I'm trying to get ready to head up north, go up towards Apple Mountain, up in that area. Fish up in there, but I don't want it to be too cold, So it's actually perfect down here right now. So I'm thinking about just staying here for a little bit and going up north, maybe closer towards April or something.
Might be a good
Big,
call.
big, don't leave fish to go find fish. Yeah. Just stay where you're at. It sounds perfect. So get after it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy watching the show.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. Take care.
All right, Robert, you're on.
Hello.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, man. How are
How
you?
you doing?
I'm good.
Pretty
Hey,
good.
Chris.
I'm Robert
Hi,
Cox.
hi,
I
Rob.
live down here in Texas.
Right on.
I just like you said. I mean, we're one of the places that got topwater fishing all year round.
Lucky.
I think y'all were talking about what our favorite for the winter fishing.
Yep.
All right. I've always been real partial to those. It's kind of like a Cinco. Well, it actually probably is Cinco, but I always text rig it with no weight.
Okay.
But I live out here at a private lake out here just outside of Athens. I'm probably about an hour away from Lake Fork.
Nice.
I think you've been down here one time before for a fishing tournament or something.
Yep.
But y'all sent a lure one time in the Monster Bass box. I think it was like a Japanese lure or something. It was long and skinny, kind of like a jerk bait, but it had a propeller with the skirt on the treble hook at the end.
I believe that was from a band of anglers, the Dart Prop Pro. Am I right?
Okay.
It's good memory.
I think you might be right. Boy, I used that one time out here. I had a huge bass that just followed up clear to the bank, and I just barely missed that sucker.
Oof.
But on that Cinco, my personal best was probably about a 7.5 pound.
Dang.
Out here at my lake.
Nice.
Good for you.
But
Can I ask you something? We always like to give tips. I want to ask you, when you had the fish following that bait, and it sounds like it was maybe like a spy bait, prop bait or something, whether it's top water, underwater, and you see a fish trailing it, what did you do when you're retrieving it and you notice that fish? Did you change your cadence? Did you pause? Did you speed up to try to entice a bite? What did you do as an angler to try to get the fish to take it?
Well, I'm still a pretty inexperienced angler.
That's all right.
Only
that's why. That's
only,
exactly what.
Yeah, I kind of. Oh, go ahead.
You just hope, and I was going to tell you, this is why I'm giving you this insight: is when you're seeing a fish follow, they're enticed, they're following it. It could be because they don't like that bait fish in its neighborhood. The opportunity here is for you to do something that will entice a bite, which will strike something with that fish's just its natural instinct. And so they always talk about a reaction bite. Ideally, when you have a fish coming towards you, the couple options are to pause and let the fish get closer. A lot of times it's against everything in our nature, but to speed that bait up, you can twitch it with a rod twitch. You can lift your rod tip and it'll start to go up visually vertical from that fish. So I'm just giving you some ideas in the future when you're seeing a follower and it's getting close to the boat and nothing's happened. You need to do something to try to get that fish to bite. So don't be afraid. 9 times out of 10, if it follows all the way up, what's going to happen is it's going to see you or it's going to see the boat and then it's going to turn away anyway. So try to do something next time and you'll start to see, wow, that fish actually took it right when I twitched. Then throw that bait out again and start to twitch it. And you'll see you're going to catch more fish further away from the boat, reacting to that motion you're doing. So that's a cool way to figure out the pattern, but just giving you some insight.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll need to try that next time. Actually, at that moment, what happened, I was fishing from the bank and it was right as I was fixing to pull that lure out of the water is whenever I finally saw it go after it. And so I kind of freaked out, but I got to try to remember not to freak out.
That prop bait, that propeller, it kind of hypnotizes that fish. So especially those spy baits, a lot of times you'll need to pause it and let it wobble back down or jerk it on the top. So good for you for figuring that out. And then just, get back out there, cast it again, do it and see what happens.
Okay.
You mentioned that I was going to say Did you get the new stick bait in the Monster Bass box? I think we're going to segue into that in a little bit, but you mentioned a stick bait Texas rig. Do you fish it weightless in the winter? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, sir. I fish it weightless year round.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And that's the cool thing is we're talking about presentation.
Yeah. That bait I can fish out here year round. Don't matter what lake it is and all that, and that thing works wonders for me. That and the fluke, but
perfect.
You got
to figure it out.
On that propeller, I ought to get into Monster. On that propeller, I ought to get in the Monster Bass shop and buy me a couple more. Cause I only used that sucker 3 times, and one day it was real windy and it hit a boat dock, cracked. But
well, if you can't find
a fantastic bait though.
If you can't find it in the store, let me know next week in the chat. and I'll get you the link for it.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, I'm still waiting to see what comes in the October box. It's in the mail coming my way, but I always get my Monster box late in the month.
Well, I can change that for you. If you ever want to get it earlier in the month, or if anyone that's listening wants it earlier in the month, you can just email us at support@monsterbass.com. Ask them to change your renewal date to the 1st of the month, and it'll ship out sooner rather than later.
Okay. Fantastic.
All right, man. Thank you so much for calling in.
I appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah, appreciate you. All
All right. Y'all.
All right, we got one more caller, Patrick Schaefer, who's actually crushing it in the comments. Didn't win, but had a couple really good ones.
Go for it. Hello.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Oh, pretty good. And yes, Chris, my comment was a compliment on you. I always like talking to people that have got a lot of life experiences and stuff because they always usually got pretty good stories.
Yeah, thanks. I knew Raphie. Yeah, Renaissance man. Thank you.
No offense taken, Patrick.
Also, Raphie, I'm a fireman. I'm at work right now, so if I say I gotta go, I'm not trying to hang up on you. I really do have to go. But
fair.
So far, we're good. But yeah, I live down here in Texas also. I think it was Chauncey was talking about Fayette, and I live about an hour and a half from Fayette here in Texas, and it's the power plant lake. And this summer, I went and fished it, and it was the water temperature, even away from the discharge, was probably 95 to 96 degrees in some areas. So it got pretty rough on some of these power plant lakes just because you have the heated water on top of it already, being hot outside, because it was pretty hot here in Texas for a couple months.
Can I ask you, do the fish go, is the lake deep enough? Is it cooler down deep? And do the fish go deep during the summertime?
Yeah, they went pretty deep. I have the Humminbird 360, and I could see them down there pretty deep. I couldn't get them to bite anything. I threw all kinds of different baits, and from Texas rigs to Carolina rigs, crankbaits, anything I could try just to get anything. And I talked to another guy that was out there the same time I was, and he had fished a little bit longer than I did and caught one. But I actually live on or closer to Lake Conroe, which my neighborhood kind of sits on Lake Conroe. And out there, they kind of ran deep. But even in like September, it was hot. And I talked to a guy, and they were catching all their fish in 4 feet of water or less. So it was kind of interesting. I was fishing deep, trying to fish brush piles, and was catching a few little ones. And I talked to him, and they were catching 7-pounders in 4 foot of water. So it's kind of weird up here this year. Normally, it seems like they go deep, but this year they were kind of in a mixture of both.
That's awesome. No, I've always wondered, because I've talked to a few people. They said it switches structurally from time to time, and the fish will go. It's almost like a role reversal. In the wintertime, we have our fish go deep. Summertime, if it's so hot, the fish will retreat and try to find some cooler water.
Right.
So good on you finding them and seeing them and trying to figure out the baits. That's what this whole thing's all about, is figuring out the pattern and finding a way to put that fish in the boat. So do you prefer winter fishing? Do you prefer summer fishing? Do you like the cold weather?
I'm actually with y'all. I don't like being cold. I think 70 degrees is cold, and I'll put a sweatshirt on when it's 70 degrees, which is why I live in Southeast Texas. But
and I guess you chose the right occupation also.
Yeah, staying warm.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like I do better fishing when it's colder than I do when it gets really hot. But I don't like being cold, so I bundle up. And that's what's funny is, like, this Lake Fayette, it's 30 degrees and you're bundled up and there's steam coming off and the water's, still 75 or 80. And you kind of debate on whether it'd be nicer just to swim around in the water to stay warm than it would be to fish.
I'd fish in get in a float tube and get out there and get after it. That sounds like good times.
Yeah.
Right. So, But this last year, I caught a lot of fish in the wintertime using an Alabama rig, swimming it past brush piles and creek channels. There's a couple of creek channels that have some trees that are kind of growing up in the middle of the creek channel, and anywhere from 15 to 20 feet of water. Sometimes they were suspended in the top of it. And then I'd catch them. I'd catch them in 15 foot of water on a Carolina rig on the bottom too. So they were kind of all over the place. Most of them seemed like they were closer to the bottom, but this is my first year I just got a new boat, and so I was first year to throw that Alabama rig.
Nice.
Do me a favor. Next time you catch a couple fish on an A rig like that, change it up and try to mimic that same setup and do a spinner bait at the same depth, just to prove to yourself. And these are these fun things in bass fishing. A lot of people will get on a pattern and they stay exactly with that pattern and just run it out till the success is gone. I really try to encourage people, take a bait, find success, and then take another bait and try to duplicate the same presentation. So an A rig, like I said at the beginning of the show, is it's a full version. The spinner bait is like a half version of that A rig, and you can fish them at the exact same depth. So give that a shot and let us know sometime.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for calling in. All right.
Thanks,
we need
Patrick.
to transition. So we were talking about the worms, and, we put this worm, I think, there you go. Zoom in on him.
I got so let me just hold that right there. So we got a worm with the back.
Okay. So we put this in the box, and we asked you guys to help us name it. And I got to tell you, some of you guys gave us some really horrible names, and some of you gave us some really interesting names. So here's what I want you to do right now. I'm going to read some off, but what I'd like you to do is go into the chat, and I'd like you to tell me what you think we should name this bait. Chris,
Wrong
can you hold
answers
it?
only.
Do you want me to describe this first?
Yeah, you can describe
this
it.
is
Let's go into Chris. Yeah, go solo to Chris. Yeah.
So I just put a little post on social media, Mr. Wish I Was Fishing. So this bait is a great stick bait. I like to hold baits when they're plastic kind of from the side and see the flexibility of it. If this bait is going to be swallowed by a bass, can it fold up? Can the hook penetrate, come through when you're setting the hook? But it is a standard stick bait by all practical purposes, but it's ribbed. So if you think of the ribbing going down this bait, and then a nice little touch here, when this is retrieved on the fall, whatever, it has this tail end. It's not a fork tail. So it kind of has a serpentine tail that has a little bump in it, and it wiggles and it tickles and it does its thing. So when I mention these words of the description, I think I entice people to give it some inappropriate names. I do want to hear, what are some of those names that you've heard, Rick, so far?
Okay, so I asked you guys. I asked people to survey and give me some names, and I'm gonna name some of the ones that we're obviously not gonna go with because I just can't see my baits ever being on the rack at Bass Pro Shops with these names. But I'm gonna read them off anyways. The tickle stick, the pickle sniffer, your mom's special drawer, creepy Uncle Bob, Fuzz Lightyear, the Jerkin Gherkin, the Bone Ranger, and the French Tickler.
I feel like all of these would be wildly not for Bass Pro Shop, but maybe Dick's.
Yeah,
Dick's Sports. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sporting Goods. Yes. I want to make sure we're clear on that.
Back to the mic, Chris.
Yeah. Do we have anything in the chat? Like, do we have any names? We've got Green Godzilla, the Slither Stick. Isn't Slither Stick the name of the Guggen's bait? The Humdinger, Ripple Worm, Ribbed for My Pleasure. That's it.
Hey-oh.
Monster Bass Riggin' Sticks.
I'm partial to the person who named it your mom's special drawer.
Yeah, we're not gonna go with that. What do you, I'm gonna read off a name that someone came up with, and I think it might be a good name, but I'd like to know what everyone thinks. Again, keeping in mind what the shape is. What about Dirk Wiggler? Kind of like that name.
Dirk Wiggler. That's a snap. Hey, pass me one of those Dirk Wigglers over there. I think the fish are on that. They're all over that thing right now.
They're all over the Dirk Wiggler.
I mean, it's either that or Ticking the Top's suggestion of calling it George, which is pretty solid.
Wait a minute. Didn't what's his name? Junior have a magazine called George?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
JFK Jr.
Yeah. Remember that. I'm just dating myself. All right, let's go. We're gonna skip the November box preview because it didn't come. But we are gonna go to what's in the box. And we only got one this week. And that's kind of disappointing. I love
It's
getting
from
mail.
Amazon?
It's from Amazon.
Nice.
And I got an email about this today, letting me know it was coming. So I want to thank Nino Scalia for sending this in today. And I'm just going to summarize what he wrote. He said that, last week you guys were eating those Trader Joe's ghost pepper potato chips, and you looked disappointed that they weren't hot. And so I thought I would get you something that would really make you happy. And so he dared us, Fix, Raphie, and myself, since we're in one location, he dared us to try this. And what it comes in, these are the new Death Nuts. the world's hottest
Death
peanuts.
Nuts.
And it's all about putting hot nuts in your mouth. And there's 5 versions, and it goes from getting started, which is mild, and it says all the way up to the Death Nut, which is 2 times Carolina Reaper, Moruga Scorpion, 13 million Scoville level.
Oh, boy.
I'm so excited for you guys. This is fun. Yeah, it's nice.
So
I'm glad
again,
you're
I want you
enjoying
guys
it.
to know you don't have to do this.
Yeah, you
But,
do.
I mean, they sent
come
it
on.
to us.
Yeah, it'd be
do we-
disrespectful.
If they sent it to,
I mean,
Thank you, Nino Scalia.
Yeah.
That would require you, Raphie, to come all the way over here to do this.
Sure.
yeah, okay.
And can you, on the way over, grab some milk? I think we need to make sure we're okay.
No. No
Yeah,
milk.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'll be right back.
Oh no.
I guess, by the way, shout out to Beth Langston for wanting to name that thing the limp pickle. But what about the bony pickle?
No, I'm not
There's
saying a
nothing
word.
bony about it.
No, but it's Halloween.
How about the wiggle pickle?
The wiggle pickle. I mean, like this is the ribbed pickle. Like there's a lot. We're gonna come up with some good names. I think this thing, just fishing specific, will get a good name. Can I give away a prize? I think Blind Eye Fishing has been talking a lot in the chat over there,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
he says I have a dad bass body. He had some funny comments. I think we have some good information for maybe some future Monster Bass shirts. So I'm going to give my prize to Blind Eye Fishing today. He's been
Blind Eye
keeping
Fishing.
it.
Let me congratulate Blind Eye Fishing then for winning 2 weeks in a row for
Wait a
two
minute.
different reasons.
Yeah.
I
Oh
feel
wow.
like I'm being set up here.
Oh boy.
Am I being set up? Is Raphie not coming?
No, I'm
I
coming.
guess not.
Raphie, are we going to try this stuff or what?
I mean, while you were gone, Chris was
Give it-
giving away one of your watches that's in your room.
Don't worry about it. Man only needs one watch. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're okay.
So do we even try number 1? It's Carolina Reaper.
No,
So we just
Yeah,
go
that's
straight to
Let's
what?
try number 1.
go to
All right,
3.
Let's
if there's
try number
5,
1.
Yeah.
oh, so disappointed. I know my face was just in disgust last week when you're eating those chips because it wasn't hot.
I don't
Come on, Fix.
This makes me nervous.
Oh boy.
Oh, wait. Extremely hot. Wear gloves.
Oh right. Don't scratch your.
Oh yeah,
eye.
it's good. Don't scratch your eyes.
Ra-
Stay away-
Raphie.
you have-
He's coming.
Raphie, on top of my
Don't-
fridge are barbecue. Raphie.
No, you can feed each other. Don't worry about the
Raphie,
gloves.
on top of my fridge
Don't-
are barbecue gloves. We shouldn't touch these things.
Yeah.
Grab the gloves.
3 gloves. 3 gloves.
Run.
You guys are fine. I have all confidence in the world. Don't touch it. If you have a pet, keep your animals away from you because we don't want the pets to get hurt. You guys are fine.
Okay,
You guys
this
are fine.
says, how far did
Just
you
put
go?
'em-
Post your video and show the world.
We can show them the live stream.
I mean,
Oy. What do we get?
still, it doesn't. If you filmed the Death Nut Challenge experience, please tag us and let us know. Wow.
Right.
No milk.
I think it's being filmed.
It's being filmed. We're not allowed to chew the entire thing for 15 seconds. Wait 60 seconds for it till advancing to the next level. We're just gonna put hot nuts in our mouth and move on. Okay. I'm really nervous.
Gosh, so am I, actually.
Okay. I gotta get on a plane tomorrow.
Good thing I don't have anything important to do tomorrow either.
It's all right. It only hurts twice. Once going in, one's going out. Hey, what if we call this worm the edamame? Like I think it looks like a person said a bean pod or something, a string bean.
Okay.
What the black glove? He did that
for
so
all my
well.
barbecuing. All right,
He
let's do
went
this.
like a doctor.
Okay.
You see a doctor with a black glove, run.
You run for your life.
Run. He's not a doctor.
You want me to feed you, Raphie? I can feed you.
Yeah, Fix, could I get some volume in here so I can hear?
Here, you'll have to wear this one.
Why don't you guys share headphones like you're back in when I was in high school?
All right, are you coming here to eat one?
God.
Take.
I'll eat it from here.
Yeah. Pick up your nut.
Which one's this?
This is number 1, just a little taster.
All right.
It's a little teaser. Okay.
Do we need to wait or we just eat?
No, we just eat.
Okay.
Don't pet my dog either.
I'm just gonna pet your dog's eyes.
Holy fuck. I mean,
Raphie, you told me to make this sure that this is not a kid's show, right?
Yeah, this is not bad.
That's fine.
That's
jeez.
it's not bad.
That one's not bad, but I was a shot across the bow.
Okay, hurry up,
I
Fix.
know what we're in store for.
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good.
I feel great. This is fine. Not a problem.
That was level 1.
Hey, level 2. How many levels are there?
5.
God, that was okay.
This is part of your employee bonus program. Whoa.
That
Whoa.
was significantly hotter.
Yeah, keep going. This is fun for everybody. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Here you go, Fix.
I don't know if this is a good idea.
Yeah, it is. It's a great one.
Oh, this is fun.
All right, number 3.
Yeah, hold on. Oh. I can throw these back in the box. We're never going to eat more than these, right?
No.
Okay. All right, ready?
Number 3, level 3, right? All right, let's
Level
let's
three.
go. Level 3. Those that are just listening on the Spotify podcast have no idea. We've got 3 people eating spicy nuts.
We're doing the Death Nut Challenge. And we are now on to number 4, where the pain sets in. 2 Carolina Reapers, 7 pot doula peppers, whatever that means.
What's a pot doula pepper? Making up peppers.
All right, Fix.
That one wasn't bad.
Make sure you lick your lips. Hey, Fix, lick your lips. Make sure you lick them. You want to spread that. You don't want to have that oil just in your mouth. You want to spread it all around.
Fix. Here you go, Fix. This is for you, buddy.
All right. 4.
Okay.
This is 4?
That was 4.
Rick, did you do a bait and switch?
2 Carolina Reapers, 7 pot doula peppers. Okay.
Oh.
We remember Fix is the dramatic one in the family.
It's a hot.
Yeah, this one's fine.
Okay.
It kind of like it's burning my throat. Like I could feel the path of the swallow. because it's just all fire.
All right, Fix.
Anybody sweating yet? Do you feel hot? Like, is this really like taking over the body, or is it just like wasabi
I'm
where it
sweating-
goes away?
I'm sweating a little bit.
My mouth's
All
on
right.
fire.
Okay.
Shiny.
All right, so this last one is the Death Nut. 13 million on the Scoville capsaicin crystals.
I mean,
I don't feel a thing like that. See, it wasn't even hot for you guys.
no. I mean, look, it's gonna burn on the way out, like for sure, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not sign a waiver horrible.
No,
I
was expecting worse.
I almost ruined my cousin's wedding. Where was it? I think it was in Columbus, Ohio. We went to a Quaker Steak and Lube, and they have these hot.
I've seen that.
Hot wings. We had to sign a waiver for it, and it was fine going in, but it decided to all come out the next day, like during the entire wedding. Awful.
Did you guys like switch them or something?
We just had the Death Nut. 2 times Carolina Reaper, Moruga Scorpion. 13 million on the Scoville level. Hot challenge accepted. Hot Nuts, Death Nut 2.0, baby.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I can feel it in my stomach though. This is not going to be good later.
I only feel it on my in the back of my tongue.
I might go home and like cut a fart and accidentally mace my wife.
Okay, let's give away some stuff. Fix, can you call out the?
I'm gonna go back to my room.
Gosh. Yes.
Here you go. Take that. Throw that whole thing out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Throw that away. Throw that away. All right. I did pick somebody. I have it here. I just got to find it. Okay. The winner for Golden Ticket, that is really hot. Lone Wolf, 2873. I picked ticket M31478. Email marketing at monsterbass.com and send a picture with your ticket. And send it to marketing at monsterbass.com. And yeah, that's my winner. And yeah, so Chris, you picked Blind Eye Fishing in the chat.
Yeah, Blind Eye. I'm just gonna say thanks. Beth is over there entertaining me as well with some of the comments. So Beth Langston, I appreciate the feedback in the chat and the funny names with the edamame. I think they were saying instead of edamame, and some good names over there. So good chat this week for sure. Thanks.
Walking makes it hot. Walking was hard.
Yeah. Oh, it was really hot.
So, just before we, I just to prolong the pain for Jared, what are we going to talk about next week?
Hey, can we talk about specific cold water techniques? I think we'll go to the lines here, but I was thinking, we're going to have Monster Bass. Isn't it cold water all month in November? And then we'll go into some specific techniques, specific baits, maybe specific gear to stay warm. Is that what we're going towards?
Sure.
Yes, it is. I walked away from the milk. Darn.
Well, that's all right.
Don't worry, my fridge is full of coconut milk and plant-based stuff and all the stuff we have here in California.
Do you have any blue algae or sea moss or whatever it is?
I'm sure I do. Okay.
All right. The answer to your question, Chris, is yes. It is cold water month all month long in November. And I agree. We probably should talk about something specific like a cold water fishing technique.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
When you breathe, your tongue gets hotter.
Yeah. My tongue actually feels like it's growing.
So I'm going to say if we can get a glimpse of that new box and then pinpoint a couple of those baits that are coming up, then we'll dive into the techniques that we can present some instruction to make sure that they're going to catch some fish on them.
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
You're not wrong, Blind Eye. You're not wrong.
All right. Well, it was a great show until about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, Chris, you might have to take us out because we've already taken ourselves out.
Hey, you know what? Thanks for everybody calling in. I think we had great chats, good interaction. Wintertime, I mean, I hate the cold weather, but we're going to get through it. That's the beauty of it. And at some point, we're going to all come back to warm weather. That's the joy where we can all be heroes again, catching fish in the springtime. We'll definitely help you find some fish this winter. Next week, we'll be talking about some specific techniques. And hey, Rick looks like he's about to throw up. So
I thought about it. Like, could I? Would that be helpful? Yeah, a big thank you to Nino Scalia for hooking us up with hot nuts. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to come out up top or down below. You're going to feel it either way. So we'll see you guys next week. Good job.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Sweep the leg.